Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Simply Growing Food podcast. I'm your host, Dylan. Today, I'm going to be talking about our chicken tractor builds and coming up with a name between the Meat Maker 2.0 or Pasture Pen 25. I want to hear what you guys think. Also, I'll be covering a couple of the upcoming guests we're going to be having on the show, with any luck. Waiting for a couple of confirmations, but I'm going to put it out there anyway. I'm going to cover the crops that we've been harvesting and are ready to harvest as of April 11th in our greenhouse. We are really pushing it. Campfire wood, if you're looking for some, our neighbor's got some. He's been trying to start a little side hustle, so I'll give you a little detail on that. And where we sit with our egg count. It's been 2 weeks since the last episode, actually a little less, and we're over 1,000 eggs in that time period. So that's what's coming up on the SGF. Stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode of the Simply Growing Food podcast. I think I'm going to start the show with our current egg status. Last check-in, we had about 6,270 eggs that we had produced in the first quarter, roughly, of the year, 2025. It's pretty crazy to think that you could pump out that kind of food on such a small scale, but our hens are happy. And they're being fed a really good local ration. Shout out to Chris Farm. You guys make some great grain over there. Anybody in the area looking to, switch their chickens to, not only a cheaper feed, believe that, the local grain is cheaper than anywhere, any box store. Trust me. And the quality's better. It's fresh, It's mostly grown in the quiet corner here in Connecticut, the corn and the soy. You're not going to get, we're not going to be able to get away from the soy anytime soon. So it's one of those things that's just better to embrace. I don't know. But the local grain is great. I think, just don't quote me because we are tax exempt as a farm, but the difference isn't really that crazy on cost. A 50-pound bag of layer feed over there is like $17.50, maybe $18.50 I think it's $17.50. Whereas like the conventional Nutrina, Purina, Leina, big box store crap grains are anywhere between $23 to $28 a bag. And let me tell you something. What I've been seeing, which I really don't like, is these big grain companies are switching from 50-pound bags to 40-pound bags, and you're paying more. That's crazy. You're literally paying more for less grain and crappier quality grain. Now, listen, there's going to be people out there that are going to say, well, I only buy from Tractor Supply. I only buy from the local Agway. That's fine. I don't care. All I'm saying is there's better options out there. I'm sure the food is, it's enough to keep the chickens alive and laying, hopefully for the most part. I don't know if a few of you guys out there listening remember a few years ago here in America, there was this big grain somewhat of a conspiracy saying these large manufacturers are not putting the proper nutrition in their feed, and I'll say that the generic feed you'll find at the big box is it's just not good. It's just really not good. I've had so many cases where people will call or stop by the stand like, oh, my chickens aren't eating, my chickens aren't laying. First thing I ask them, what do you feed? Because their nutrition is coming from whatever you're giving them. And if you're not giving them the proper nutrition, they're not going to lay eggs, period. So a lot of times I'll hear, oh, I buy the stuff at so-and-so, the big box name. I don't want to say it. I already did, but I don't want to say it again. And then I say, well, get them off of that. Get them on some local stuff. And then you go through the environmental issues that could be causing chickens to not lay. But I always start with nutrition. If an animal has an issue going on, it's usually what they're eating. Just like us. Now, that was not a month ago. Blah, blah, blah. Back to the eggs. Egg tracker as it sits right now, April 11th, we are at 7,272 eggs. That's 1,002 eggs more since our last check-in 2 weeks ago. Um, that's pretty good. No complaints here. That's a lot of eggs. Again, that's an average of a little over 40 dozen a week in order to pump that out. But the hens they're doing great. So as it sits, the beginning of the second quarter of 2025, we are at 7,200 eggs. 7,272. Roughly. Now there's some that break, and there's some I sell of people that just stop in that I don't necessarily throw into the system. I forget, or I eat a dozen, or I give a dozen to my parents, or whatever. So, that number is probably higher, but I'm just going off of the data that we collect through our sales, our POS. So 7,272 eggs as of April 11th. Stay tuned. I'm thinking we're going to finish the year somewhere in the 25,000 range, but yet to be seen. All right. I was going to originally make this episode about bees because there is like a catastrophic bee population crisis going on in this country. Unfortunately, I'm just not as versed in it, and the little bit of research I did, I just didn't really want to put anything sketchy out there. So, depending on what you hear, what you follow, bee populations are suffering. We're coming out of winter. That's usually when bees have the largest die-off is wintertime, from what I understand. I'm not going to get too far into the weeds on the bee devastation. You can look it up yourself, or you can wait for when we have our local bee expert. I call him an expert. He may not call himself an expert, but the guy's a freaking genius. Every time I pick up local honey at his shop, I'm there forever. I'm there for at least an hour because he's so full of knowledge. I just want to hear it. His name's Adam, over at A to Z Apiary in Chaplin, CT. I did talk to him about coming on the show. He's sounded down to clown. So, Adam, if you start listening to the show, which I hope you do after you're on, or hey, whatever, people want to hear. People definitely want to hear what you have to say. Super, super informative. So let's see. Yeah, so we might have a bee guy on, Adam. I'd love to have Brittany and Gwillem back from Two Dogs Coffee. We've done an interview with Brittany. We may have done two. No, I think we've done one. Yeah, we've done one. But we're going to do another one. See how their first almost full season having the coffee shop has been going. I think when we had her on last time, they were working on opening up the coffee shop. Now they've been open. We like to go there. We try to go a couple times a month. We're not a weekly customer, but I'm a daily customer, as you know, from this wonderful ad I'm about to shove upon you. Guys, if you're anything like me, your day starts the same pretty much every day. You wake up, you drag yourself over to the coffee pot, and you begin to brew yourself that sweet elixir that's going to keep you going all day. Now, where we differ is what's in that coffee pot. We're not big fans of the big commercial coffee companies. The flavor's just not there. We're big fans of Two Dogs Coffee Company, and for the past 2 seasons, that's all we've been drinking. And I mean literally 2 seasons, 2 full years. Two Dogs Coffee is the only coffee that we brew. Artisanally roasted, fresh to order, and ethically sourced, Two Dogs Coffee is the only thing that we've been drinking here at the farm. This is not a paid advertisement, okay? I just like them over there. Brittany and Gwillem, they do great business, and they create such a good product. I can't put it down. I'm having some right now. I'm a big fan of their original Frank's blend. Brazilian and Colombian beans, and it's a medium roast. Hints of caramel, chocolate, some other stuff. It's coffee. Two Dogs Coffee. Get some. So yeah, we'd love to have Brittany and Gwillem back on the show. Give us a little update. I'm sure that they have a lot to tell us. And let's see who else. Oh, a good friend of the show, farm really, Eddie. Eddie is a good friend. He has been involved in our chicken processing day. He has hunted on the farm a little bit. He's definitely got some deer. Eddie is like, every time I talk to Eddie too, I learn something because he's so in tune with nature and the outdoors. And I mean, the other day he's telling me about this little pond that he's been working on, a couple of ponds that they just dug, and he's trying to grow shiners and start that kind of thing. And I mean, I'll just give you an example. This guy's so in tune. We're standing at the bottom of our garage. It's a walkout garage where we process chickens. And one night we're just cleaning up or something. And it's like dusk, you can kind of see. And I'm just talking to him, and mid conversation, he stops. He's like, "Hey, there's a deer out in the woods." I mean, real quiet. And I mean, when he says out in the woods, we're talking 350 feet away across the market garden, across the farm. He sees a flicker of a freaking tail, and he's like, "Yeah, there's a look at the deer. Look at the deer." I mean, out of the corner of his eye, he sees this flicker from 300 feet out. I mean, I was just blown away. And he was right. He's like, "Look," and there were a couple of deer across the field in the wood line. You could just barely see them. It's like, my God. So Eddie's pretty cool to talk to. So we're going to have him on. There's a few other guests we want to have on just to kind of educate and learn more about. But, as the season progresses, we're going to have a lot more to talk about. It's going to be hard to get the episodes out on a regular basis, but we're going to do our best. It's just so much to do right now, and there's only going to be more to do coming up. So let's get right into these chicken tractors. When people hear me say tractor, their brain instinctively goes to like a John Deere tractor or something with wheels and motor and metal and all that. It's not really what we're talking about. A chicken tractor is basically a pen that you can move around pasture that keeps chickens in there and secure while you're raising them. Those of you who listen to the show probably do know who Joel Salatin is of Polyface Farm in Virginia, here in America. He might not call himself the father of modern permaculture because he has inspirations that got him to where he is, but he, to me, is the father of modern permaculture. And a lot of what Joel has done on his farm and written in his books, of which I think I've read 5 or 6 of them, all self-published books, very good. There might be some that aren't at this point, so don't quote me on that, but they're really, really good. And super informative. I mean, the details, that he gets into about his experience and his journey getting into creating a multi-million-dollar permaculture farm operation is inspiring. And, hey, Joel, if you hear this, let's connect. You're an inspiration, man. So Joel came up with these pasture pen, this little simple box that you build out of scrap, that he built, seemed like out of scrap wood and wire he had kicking around and some sheet metal. I mean, it's a farm, right? So these things exist just kind of inherently on a farm. Years of accumulation. And they're just so simple. I was like, that's what I got to do. My first model of pasture pens I built were also really good, and I thought they were super easy to build because they were, but they ended up being a little trickier than anticipated. But they worked out. They worked out for 4 years, and now I'm retiring them to just be holding pens or little portable greenhouses or something, because I built them out of cattle panel and pressure treated wood and tarps. I mean, it was very easy. They were secure, but it was very easy build. I took that design from the University of Minnesota. I found this video they put out in like the early 2000s about raising pasture broilers for meat, and I was just like, wow, simple design. So I did that. They cost at the time like $300-400 to build, start to finish. Really not bad when you consider the return and the flavor you get from pasture-raised chicken. It's just amazing, and the nutrition. I'd love to have our meat tested, see what that's about, but maybe someday break down the nutritional content of it. That'd be awesome. Anyway, so Joel has a book out called Pasture Poultry Profits, Pasture Poultry Profits. And it is just a soup to nuts breakdown on how to make it work and all the trials and tribulations they went through. And hearing all the struggle really kind of makes it just seems to make it easier on me anyway to know that struggle is part of the game here. It's not going to be plug and play and it's all going to work out. It's like you're going to have predators, you're going to have mortality, you're going to have issues, you're going to have things you don't think about happen. Weather is a factor you just can't control. I've had weather so bad I've had to move chickens off of pasture. I mean, there's just stuff like that. And it's good to hear, like, okay, this is what you got to do if you're going to make it happen. Okay, you can't sit by the sidelines and say, "Oh, wait for the storm to pass." You go out in the storm and you save the damn birds, or you lose the damn birds. Those are your options. And the book really, really puts it into perspective, you know. And the what's he call? He calls it schemes. You know, different ways to make money on farms. I like the words. So this scheme, quote unquote, raising pasture broilers, is what he says easiest way to get you out of your desk job and get you onto your farm. If you want to quit your job and start working for yourself, pasture-raised broilers is the way to go. This system works. We do a flock share. They do a flock share. This system works. Okay, get you out of your desk job and onto the grass. But you got to be committed. So anyway, so this year I decided, because we're expanding to so many freaking chickens every month, we're trying to hit 500. We went from a little over 200 last year each month. We're trying to do 500, a little over 500 each month this year. Because last year we would butcher those 200 chickens. Half would go to the flock share, and the other half would sell on home delivery the first week we had it. We'd be out of chicken in like 10 days. So I figure if we sell 2 to 250 through our flock share each month, and then the other 2 to 250 we can have for sales, we'll at least make it 20 days and have some chicken we can eat. So that's the goal. But I didn't like the coops I had. Things were changing. We're going to bring on some help to help us with this. That's kind of changed too, so we don't really have that going on this season. But so I said, let's switch to the Joel Salatin method here with the coops, and make a couple of tweaks and do that. So I'm in the process. I've got 6 pretty much fully built, and I got 2 more framed up and 2 that haven't been even touched, but I got like a week to make them all finished and fully operational. Because these chickens, some are out on pasture. I got 1 pen I've been watching, making sure there's no problems with the design, making sure my waterer doesn't leak, watching those chickens for a few days, and now I'm going to start filling all the other ones and finishing these pens and getting the birds out on pasture, because it's April 11th. We butcher in a month, at least for the next 4 weeks. They'll be having some grass in their daily diet. That's going to totally change their growth and their flavor. So, but, and maybe if I post this in time, I'll post the YouTube link in the show notes in the description. But I took a few videos of building these pasture pens, and if you want to check them out, feel free to check out our YouTube. Just type in Daigle Farm or Simply Growing Food. You'll find us. It's all framed out of rough cut. Those of you who don't know the term, rough cut is lumber that is pretty much sawn off the land. It's not kiln dried. It's not sanded down to be perfectly smooth like the lumber in your local hardware store or what have you. It's rough cut. It's rough to the touch. A lot of people will call it native, call it green, whatever. All of those descriptions fit the bill. So lightweight was in mind, because they got to move every day. And if I wasn't going to be the one moving them, then someone else, we got to make them lightweight. No matter who it is, they got to be able to move. But they got to be strong enough and heavy enough that they don't blow away. So I think we figured it out. It's all framed out of 2x3, rough cut, native lumber. Super lightweight and strong. I used pine and I used hemlock. Now, hemlock is still a softwood, but it's a lot stronger than pine. And, I used to think that was like not real. But after working with hemlock, I'm like, I'd rather work with hemlock wood than pine, white pine any day. You could feel the strength when you're like working with it. It's just totally different stuff. Let's see. Yeah, so they're 8 feet long, 6 feet wide. That's 48 square feet. It's going to hold 50 birds, and they're moving every day. Watering system is a gravity-fed 6-gallon bucket that sits on the top of the coop, or pen, tractor, whatever. And I use like 1/2-inch PVC with these little chicken nipples that go down into the coop, run along the far side of the wall, and chickens can just drink as they need. That has been pretty helpful. I built a different system with the same like chicken nipple watering system in the fall for the hens, and that's been working out. So I figured, well, trials and tribulations over. These things are golden. Let's put them in. So each pen has 3 water spigots, you could say. And then I used 4-inch PVC pipe to make into feeders. And that has been, sorry, I'm getting these messages. I'm trying to buy a commercial stove for our kitchen, our commercial kitchen build, and I keep getting Facebook notifications of people responding, if you hear that on the recording. That being said, if you know anybody selling a commercial stove for a good deal, give us a call. Let us know. Anyway, so I use 4-inch PVC round feeders, pipe, to make the feeders. That was a process. I probably got like 3 hours wrapped into making feeders. Probably another 3 to 4 hours wrapped into making the waterers. Luckily, framing and building the coop I can do in about an hour and a half. I can frame it and put the metal and the wire to it in about an hour and a half. And I'm going to have 10 of those coops, so that's like 15 hours, roughly. Plus, I'll have probably a week. Yeah, now that I'm like thinking about it, I'll probably have a week wrapped into, maybe less, a little less than a week of hours wrapped into building these pens. But we'll get a few seasons out of these things, and it's going to change the game. We're going to be able to a little more than double our production. That's super helpful. So what's a week of my time? That's what I do. It's part of the job. I'm moving with a dolly. They don't have wheels. Like the last ones had little lawnmower tires on them, little 6-inchers. I didn't even bother. These just skid across the ground. The tires are great, but here's the thing. They reduce the resistance, which is what you want. But if you don't put them on right, it creates a gap underneath the coop. Sometimes that gap is just enough for an animal to get underneath and really ruin your day. So I skip the wheels. Don't think they're fully necessary. I don't think Joel puts wheels on his either. It's just one more cost. And if you're like he says, nook and cranny farming, cost is everything. You're trying to keep that down. You're trying to work with what you got. Another farmer I follow out of North Carolina, Justin Rhodes, if you guys know him on YouTube, he's got some great content. I've listened to his book, very good book, his first book. And what does he say? He says, he's got a saying about wear it out, use it up, something. I like it. Unfortunately, I can't remember it at this moment, but it's good. It's good. So I am trying to come up with a name for these. I'm either thinking the Meat Maker 2.0 is a revision and an improvement from what I had before, or Pasture Pen 25s. PP25, Pasture Pens 25, because year 2025 and whatever. So if you got an opinion, I want to hear it. Let me know. Let me know what you think. Pasture Pen 25 or Meat Maker 2.0. We are going to be, maybe we could have them on, the new owners of Little Dipper Farm up at the top of Wolf Den Road, I think that is. Bush Hill. Is that Bush Hill? Oh my God. It used to be the Golden Lamb. It used to be the Golden Lamb, for those of you who are local to the area. Now it's Little Dipper, and we're going to be working with those folks up there because they have so much pasture. We just don't. We're going to be putting a few of our pasture meat bird pens up there. So they were gracious enough to let us use some of the space. We're going to hook them up with some great tasting chicken. They are fans, Lori and Venus. I know you guys like the chicken. Maybe we should have you on. I think we should have you on. And just kind of get into detail about what you guys are doing up there. Big changes. Good changes. I like what I'm seeing. But anyway, so the meat bird season is off hot and running. And I don't even have the pens built yet, but most of them are built. And I will be finishing them this week because I've got a couple of chickens left inside, but most of them have moved to the original meat bird pens I had, which, like I said before, are just like holding pens at this point until, because we needed space for overflow, because there's a few months where we have baby chicks at the same time we have broilers that aren't ready to go out yet. So we needed some kind of space to hold them. Luckily, years of building coops, we have coops. Pros and cons. They sit around until they're useful. Pretty much. Yeah, so weigh in. Meat Maker 2.0 as the new name, or Pasture Pen 25. MM 2.0, PP 25. Let me know what you think. Let's see. Yeah, so they would be good guests too. I guess it kind of ropes into that, ties that right in. So yeah, check out the YouTube on this video. I'm sure it's going to be funny. Cassidy's pretty good at the editing. And it might be long, but it's like a point of view, like I'm wearing a camera and I'm just putting together one of these pens so you can kind of see how it's done. Anybody can do this. There's really nothing unique to it. It's all covered with sheet metal, lightweight, but predator proof, and wire. Sheet metal and wire. That's it. That's it. All right. Let's see. Crops that we're harvesting right now. Romaine, arugula, spinach, microgreens, and dill. We got some dill. The dill has been, it kind of planted itself. It came up last year by itself, and then it seeded itself, and then that little patch is now coming up. It's in the greenhouse, so that's the only reason I think it overwintered so well. It's been protected and heated and cared for a little bit just because of where it is, not because we've given it any special attention, but it's very good. Great flavor. So right now it's leafy green season. Our greenhouse is producing, we do a romaine blend. It's got like 7 varieties of romaine in it, all different colors, all different shapes, I guess. It's all leaves. Arugula, a little peppery action, but it's good. It's good. We had some arugula the other day. Very nice. And let's see, spinach. I haven't cut it yet, but it's looking really good. We grow a variety called space spinach, and it was bred to be done in a small amount of space. Or, it's probably the yield for the space that it takes up is why it was called that. But it was designed to produce a lot in a small, it's a market garden crop. So we'll have that on the menu, all 3 greens. And then in the microgreen medley, the Zesty blend will be available too. We've got a lot of that going on. And that's been a hit, which is good. It's quite tasty. I have planted a little over 1,000 onion starts. Okay, got about 1,000 more to go. Also put in a few hundred leeks. Never grown leeks before, but Cass was wondering if we could try them, so I said, yeah, let's try them. I got some started leeks in, got those in, a couple hundred. Red onions, yellow onions, and Walla Walla onion. I might have talked about this in the last episode. Those I'm kind of excited for. Now, we don't have a fry later, but I do believe those ones are used for bloomin' onions, which is one of my favorite fair foods on the planet. Used to be turkey leg, and the turkey leg was overcome by the bloomin' onion. And that horseradish sauce, don't even get me started. We've looked into growing horseradish, which is doable. It's a perennial, but it's a root, for those of you who don't know. It's a root that you have to dig out of the ground that would not like to be dug out of the ground. So it creates some nice fibrous roots that come off the main tap root, and it clings. It stays. It does not really want to be dug up. Like, it's similar in shape to a carrot, if you can imagine, one long tap root. But if a carrot has fibrous, hairy roots on it, it's struggling. Okay? You don't want a carrot to grow that because not only does it not look good, but you don't really eat it. And you have to spend that extra labor in removing all those fibrous roots. My understanding is extra growth of roots is because of lack of water. So then the plant begins to send out all these little roots, searching, instead of the main taproot. But if you keep them really watered, it's my experience, there could be other factors. But in my experience, if you keep them watered, you don't have the problem. You get a nice orange, yellow, purple, whatever you're growing, red. Carrot, no fibrous hairs or roots, whatever you want to call it. Just one main beautiful taproot. That's what you're growing it for. Same goes for beets. I've had beets that start to create some like weird fibrous roots, and they need water. It's all about the water. Radishes, haven't had it with turnips much, but that's, you're going to have to keep H2O on these guys. But anyway, horseradish, bloomin' onions. Wow, we got off topic there. But I'm hoping that maybe we could find maybe a local person that has a fry later, or we could borrow a fry later and make some bloomin' onions or something this fall, or that would be great. Little, what's that one that everyone eats there? French onion soup. That's another good one. We could make French onion soup using these Walla Walla onions. So stay tuned. I've never grown them, but they say they're supposed to be the size of a softball, minimum. It's a big onion. Shelf life is crap, so once you pick it, eat it. Pick it and eat it. It's not something you're going to be able to store well. Yeah. Meat maker, Pasture Pens, we got some upcoming guests. This is a quick episode. I'm kind of in a rush. I got to get some arugula and zesty blend cut this morning for deliveries. We got a lot going on. The plumber's supposed to be coming today to hook up our sink and our commercial kitchen, which is a godsend. We're also installing a UV light treatment system into the farm just because. There's nothing wrong with our water, but we do have to get annual water tests. So I figure, well, this is a shoe-in to never have a problem. Guaranteed, you treat it with UV, right? That's what they say anyway. So we're doing that. New sink. And taking out an old sink so I can finish a wall and get the kitchen still going. Like, you know, the plumbing has held us up a little bit on you know, getting everything laid out and getting everything finished in our commercial kitchen space. But since that's coming along, he's supposed to be here today. It's not going to take him more than a day. They're pretty efficient. They'll get it done. It'll be good. I'm gonna wrap this episode up. We're gonna talk a little bit about our neighbor, Zach. Great guy, Zach and Nikki. They're kind of new. They moved in, I don't know, 5-6 years ago now. But Zach has been helping us clear some land on the property, and they're weekly customers. They love the food. They believe in it. They believe in what we're doing, which, hey, thank you guys. And Zach is starting a little firewood business. And I say little, but it's you know, he's got firewood. There's nothing little about it. It's little now, but it's going to grow. People still burn wood like crazy. We burn like 12 quart a year, so I get it. Anyway, Zach has a little stand at the end of his driveway, which is adjacent to our driveway. It's right next door. So if you are in our area this season and you're looking to get some firewood that's local, just help support a local guy, not a gas station, who knows where all that wood comes from, which could be local, don't get me wrong. But I got to think that if gas stations, like, they sell wood like crazy, blows my mind that you stop in for like fuel, a vitamin water, and oh yeah, I need a pack of hardwood to burn at a fire. You know, just like, what? I get it, I don't. Kind of would make more sense for liquor stores to sell, but I guess like gas stations also sometimes sell liquor too, so, you know, whatever. But anyway, our neighbor, Zach, doesn't have a name for the business yet, but when he does, we'll put it out there for him. Selling firewood. He's got bundles available now. He's got kindling. He's got camp wood. He's got what you need. If you guys are going to be having a little get-together this summer, keep the local wood stands in mind. It's a really interesting business. I've cut and split my fair share of wood. I can tell you it's not easy work. So, and he's really fair on his pricing. And I think this fall he'll also have cordwood for delivery available, bulk. So keep that in mind too if you are one of those many New Englanders that burns wood to heat your home. Alrighty. Last thing, we are nearing our 50th episode, which may not sound like a milestone to most, but it is to us. And I kind of want to do something special, maybe another raffle, a contest, have on a special guest. I want to hear from you guys. What do you want to see? What do you want to have us raffle off? Is there something you want someone in the local area you think we should interview, have on the show, etc., etc.? The 50th episode is important to me. We've been working on this show for a little over a year, and you know, I'm just really trying to push it. I want people to hear us. I want people to think that what we're talking about is helpful, and they can learn from it. You know, we're not trying to make money here. We're just trying to help. I was looking for a good podcast about farming, and I just couldn't find it. Small scale agriculture. I just couldn't find something I liked other than just like raw data being thrown at people and like, you know, telling people that, oh, you need, you know, certain amounts of nitrogen in your soil in order to have this and pH to have that. Like, it doesn't really resonate with a lot of people because most people that are home gardening or whatever, they're not testing the pH in their soil. They're not testing the nitrogen in their soil, you know. But I could be like, oh, well, switch the feed of your chickens and you might get eggs. That don't work. Come on back. We'll figure it out. But yeah, so 50th episode is coming up. We're excited about it. I hope you're excited about it. If you have any recommendations of what you want to hear, who you want to hear, let us know. We're open to suggestions. All right, that's going to do it. Again, we're going to close the show with the egg count. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, we're at 7,272 eggs for the end of the first quarter, the beginning of the second quarter of 2025. Crazy. And we still never have enough. Never have enough eggs. Got like 100-something chickens, never have enough eggs. 7,272 eggs, not enough eggs. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this episode of the Simply Growing Food podcast. It was short and brief, but I hope you found it informational and educational. If not, that's a shame. Surely a damn shame. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for listening to the Simply Growing Food podcast. If you liked it, please share us with a friend or a family member. We appreciate your support. And don't forget, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you want to hear us talk about. If you got questions about farming, if you got questions about what you're eating, please send it to us. You can send it to us at www.simplygrowingfood.com, or you can send us an email at simplygrowingfood@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook, Simply Growing Food Podcast, or just find us on Facebook under Daigle Farm. Give us a Google for Daigle Farm. You'll find us. We appreciate the support. Thanks for all of it.